You're listening to the Live Out Loud podcast with River Wynn and Michelle Flamer.
I like it. I love it. I want some more of it. I tried so hard. I can't rise above it. Man, Mr. Whiskers knows how to jam.
I
Hi,
wish everybody
River.
could. Michelle. I wish everybody could see Mr. Whiskers dancing to you singing.
I mean, that is so cute. You know what we'll do? We'll do it at the end and we'll record it, and then we can you can put a little blurb on the story
Perfect.
today.
Perfect.
How's it going?
A beautiful Saturday and happy birthday to
Thank you. It's a
you.
special recording day.
It is. So today's Michelle's birthday while we're recording. Of course, this will come out Wednesday, so it'll be past her birthday, but happy birthday to Michelle. This
Thank you.
podcast wouldn't be here without her.
Aw, you're sweet. Hey, back at you. But I did go on social media a little bit today because Facebook birthdays are still dope.
They are. I love Facebook birthdays. Like so many people commenting happy birthday. It's a great boost. It is. It's a
It
feel
is,
good
and
boost.
it is. And LinkedIn, I had colleagues, past colleagues and friends, and saying happy birthday to there. And then every few hours I'll check Facebook a little bit, and because I'm taking that social media break.
Yeah.
And then I went on Insta. Oh, Michelle told me, our good friend Michelle of the podcast, told me that you had posted something on our Live Out Loud. And I was like,
Yes.
oh, now I have to go see that. And then Chrissy, I don't know if you checked, but check out Chrissy's, because holy moly, she put some fun older photos of us together.
Oh,
And
I haven't seen it yet. I'll have to
it
go and
was
look.
so freaking cute the way she did it all. So you'll have to check it
Aw.
out later. But yeah, just people from all aspects of my life, from third grade on, through career and college, and who I've met. And it's just I think that's the thing. It's like one day a year you get this opportunity to like think and just reflect on all these beautiful spirits in your life and what they've taught you, and when you've met them, and what phase of life. And so many of these people, like when I'm at the trade show, when I'm walking the trade show halls and seeing people, people are like, oh my God, Caden is so tall right now. Or,
Mm.
Caden used to say, like, I'm such a celebrity within all of your business. I said, well, you are. Like, these people have had, knew when I walked into the New York show that I'm going to next week, um, was the show, one of the very first shows of that year, because we had found out we were pregnant around the Christmas time. So my first show,
Mm.
heading into that next year was New York, Gift, and now it's called
Yeah.
New York now. But I mean, my friends remember me coming in going, "We're pregnant." Like,
Aw.
they just, so it's like seeing all these names come up, and then my high school friends. And I mean, believe it or not, I have a lot of high school friends still, because we're not at that age yet of like everyone being dead or anything like that. So
Right.
we have a pretty big crew from those days. And so it's really like a very reflective day. I felt my dad earlier.
Mm.
I had a very emotional moment, just really feeling his like the void of not having him. And
Mm-hmm.
mainly I think it's because Mary Jean, my stepmom, who I've spoken about on the podcast before, but we're going to one of our favorite like delis, this week for dinner. And
Mm.
my dad would like
Yeah.
love going, and Caden's gonna
Yeah.
be with me. And it's that kind of thing where you just think, oh man, it's just it's really there's not a lot of times now, because my kid is older. It's
Mm-hmm.
not like when Caden is a baby and we count things in months, right?
Right.
And then all of a sudden it goes into years. And so you're you're not a parent counting the months anymore. You're just counting these years. And so, when a birthday comes up, and I don't have a weird thing about age, being a certain age. I think I think that's just all, mental shit. I think it's
It's
stupid.
it's social. It's social conditioning.
Exactly,
It's yeah,
exactly. And
it's
but I also don't need to make like a big deal out of my birthday. Like I like my meditation. I like thinking about what I would love to accomplish the next go round, how I want to feel and my
hmm
health and which we know is like my focus kind of going forward. And yeah, I'm just excited for the year. I mean, there's fun trips coming up, with Kaden and with friends and already thinking ahead, to seeing other friends that are around the country, like my some childhood friends today when they wished me happy birthday and then they're like, we all need to get together. So little things
Mm.
like that. It's just good to look forward to. And yeah, so it's interesting.
Yeah, I like birthdays. I don't usually make a big deal out of mine either.
That's what I
I
was going to
actually
ask
do
you.
I do
You
birthday
have
months.
Yeah.
Like
You like to go into nature like I do, but
yeah.
I can't because, I have my child in the other room but
Yeah.
otherwise I would have probably like head up to Sedona for the night or done some or gone down south or whatever.
Yeah, I usually for my birthday I just do birthday months and I just make sure to do things that I really love and enjoy that month because it's April and April is springtime and there's so many fun, beautiful things to do in April and springtime in the Pacific Northwest. I usually go to the tulip fields in Portland, like
Oh,
outside of Portland for my
I miss
birthday.
the Tulip Festival. It's so beautiful.
Yeah, the Tulip Festival. So that's usually my birthday tradition. And I usually spend my birthday by myself, honestly. Like sometimes I'll spend it with my sister, or if I happen to have the kids, I haven't had the kids on my birthday since getting divorced because of just the way the timing has worked. So,
Totally.
yeah, I usually just do it by myself.
I mean, I'm fine with that as well. Like, it's
Yeah.
not, I know friends who are like really into their birthdays. Like, we need to celebrate it. You know what I mean? But that's okay. I mean, it's to
That's
each
okay
his own.
too.
It's your
Yeah,
birthday. You get to
that's
do whatever
okay
you want.
too. Yeah, I think for me it was growing up, my birthday wasn't really celebrated. I shared a birthday with my brother next in age to me is we are 2 years apart by a day. So mine's April 20th and his is the 19th. And so we always had a joint birthday and we didn't really do much. It was just like cake at church after church and maybe some presents. So there was never
Yeah.
really like a big celebration of birthdays. I don't remember ever having a birthday party the way that I throw birthday parties for my kids.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of normal for me to just have a low key birthday.
Yeah, I get that. I
Yeah.
mean, I think birthdays are, I mean, some people have a really hard time for their birthday and they just want to hide. It
Yeah.
feels like Christmas or holidays to them where they're just like, adios. They're either taken off somewhere so they don't have to even acknowledge it in some ways or not. But I think it's important to recognize that it's another trip around the sun and what we get to do with this time, on Earth. And yeah, I've learned a lot of things and walked an unusual path and
hmm
it feels it feels good to just today just low key it. I went to the farmer's market and talked to friends, had my earbuds on and just got to talk to friends and then came back and it's just been very relaxing.
Sounds perfect.
It does feel really good. I think you said you had like some questions for me or something, or the topic
Oh,
today. I think we were talking a few things, but one kind of
yeah,
stood out for you yesterday.
it wasn't necessarily specific questions, but I was
Yeah.
just thinking about, over the course of our lives, we learn so many lessons, and I was just curious, what are some of the big lessons from your life?
And I love that. Like
I,
that is,
I mean, we're talking about birthdays and reflection and looking back, and I think that's just a very relevant question because when we do turn a year older, it's a reflective time. We're thinking about life and what's ahead, and sometimes it's nice to look back and be like, what have I done in my life? What have I learned? What have I grown through? So I just would like to hear some of yours.
I think, I know I've said this in the past. I don't know if I've said it on the podcast very much, but I do know that I say this term and I'm sure you're gonna, when you hear it, I think I've said it to you a few times and I think and I don't know where I kind of learned this from early on. It might have been my Jewish grandfather and my dad. They were very much salespeople and putting themselves out there and learning how to like address people, eye contact and things like that. But the other part of it was around just saying yes in life, like not being
Mm-hmm.
afraid to say yes to things. Because I think when someone is fear driven and you really can't, you don't take a risk for something, then you lose the whole opportunity altogether. Because
Mm-hmm.
regardless if the opportunity to whatever I'm saying yes to, if it falls through, it falls through. I think
Yeah.
the point is to say yes and always step out and try something different, whether it's a job, whether it's a new food you want to taste and you don't know how to cook it, so you just learn how to cook it. Um, it can be so many different things. Maybe taking a new way home, saying, you know what, I'm just
Mm-hmm.
going to take a new way home. Like it doesn't have to be big life things for me. It ended up being yes to big life things. I mean, saying yes in the small things is super easy to me. I mean, at this point in, and always in my journey, but um saying yes to college, saying yes
Mm-hmm.
to a junior college, knowing that I would move on to a four-year college. And then I realized, I mean, on my tenant, I was all Western State Conference in my college, so it's like, within my structure or whatever, the university, it's not like, it's not like a UCLA or USC, but within that scope, like I really succeeded by saying, yes, I want to play tennis in college, and here I succeeded. And then I moved on to Cal State Bakersfield, yeah, Cal State Bakersfield, and realized I did not love that. And that's
Mm.
okay. I said yes to it and I tried. And then I said yes to the Air Force and I did that, and then I
Mm-hmm.
succeeded in that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, okay, now I'm done with this. Now I'm going to take what I learned here and move it into a dog training business. And how I even thought about working at PetSmart for 3 months in order to gain clients, like taking the puppy food out to their car and making business cards with my dad at his office and handing them out. And in 3 months, I was able to quit that job and
Mm-hmm.
I was making enough and more. So I think it really just comes down to when I think about my career trajectory, when I think about the people that I have said yes to in relationships and had long-term relationships with, which has only been two people, but still, it's
Yeah.
like you're saying yes to these experiences. I think people are sometimes so fearful of just saying yes. I mean, do you know of a time in your life where you were just scared and just ended up not taking it and still think about that moment?
I'm trying to think. I'm kind of similar to you in that regard of I've
Yeah,
always kind of been a yes person. Um, I think I've said yes a lot. I think in hindsight, maybe there were times when I waited longer than I would have liked to have said
right.
yes, but ultimately ended up saying yes.
Yeah,
And a lot of times those were things that were kind of roadblocks in my way. For example, wanting to go to college, but having been a homeschooled kid who was off the grid and didn't have a record of my education and I didn't have a GED. And so not being able to, have transcripts or SATs to go to college, and then at the time that I wanted to go to college, you still couldn't apply for financial aid unless your parents signed off on it until you were 21 years old, right? So your
mm,
parents had to apply for you. So like a lot of things I wanted to say yes to, there were actual roadblocks in my way. So like I couldn't start college on my own until I was 21, and so it took me longer. But I think, yeah, throughout life, I've always been a yes person as well,
that's
you know?
awesome. I mean, it's fascinating because today I was talking, who was I talking to? One of my friends, and they were just talking about something with regards to their career and how they just feel stifled, like they just feel so stuck in not being able to like move through it. And I said, well, what's your biggest fear? Like, what's your biggest
Mm-hmm.
fear around that? Why can't you just say yes to like getting your resume together and like throwing it out there? And like, is it a
Mm-hmm.
fear of rejection? Is it just fear of change? And I think you really have to push through the fears of change and the fear of rejection. And that kind of goes with a lot of things. Like it can go with relationships, it can go with family, it can go with work, career, obviously. But
Mm-hmm.
I think you have to know yourself enough to know that you're worth the risk. Like if you take the risk and it fails, like, okay, I mean, then you're not stuck in any one situation. And
Yeah.
a lot of people just have a really hard time shifting and being open to like seeing what might possibly be like a really cool career move so that they can make more money and so that they can have more things for their life. And I know a lot of it stems from like probably what you're going to say is like sometimes trauma. Like there are things that are blockers, you know?
I was gonna say fear of the unknown. I mean, I
Yeah,
feel like
fear. Yeah, I
that's
like that.
a really big like for a lot of people, not having a sense of control because so many people feel like they need to control their life story so
Yeah,
deeply that the fear of the unknown when you make those leaps or when you say yes is just too overwhelming for them and they
yeah,
can't do it. And, like in the context of relationships, how many of us stay in relationships longer than maybe we should have because the
totally.
fear of the unknown kept us there. I mean, that
Completely.
was true for me. I stayed too long in a relationship because I was afraid of what would happen next. And so I think that's a very real fear for a lot of people. But what you and I know now, right, is that um, when you trust and surrender to the unknown and just trust and have faith that everything's going to be okay, like
Yeah.
you can always go backwards, right? If going forwards doesn't go well for you, you can go backwards. And
It's
so
so true. I mean, you can pause, you can go at your own pace. Like you don't have to be like me where I literally leap into the yes. It's like,
yeah, it could be a slow yes. It could be a
that's
baby
right.
step
It
yes.
could be a why. It doesn't even have to be a full yes. It could just be
You
a why.
can just start with the why.
We should make it as an acronym like um yay I don't know, like I don't even know where to start on that, but like I'm gonna come up with some acronym,
That's
you
so
know.
funny. Yeah. Yep.
But I think so. One of the fun things, because we always talk about Chat GPT, and
I love ChatGPT.
I put like, what parts of my life are worth sharing? Like I just thought, like I just wanted to see it's so general, but I really like through the personal growth and goals that it came up with your journey to like my journey to balance intentional time with my daughter while focusing on professional growth. And the
Mm,
other thing that I really liked that it came up with was the positive ripple effects of challenging of myself and holding myself accountable. So
hmm
if you're having a crappy day or a crappy self-love kind of day and you're just down on yourself, throw in ChatGPT what is like what are you worthy of? And it'll throw out
mm,
some cool stuff. I like the idea of like around career and professional, this one really resonated because it's like how I engage brands and romanticize, more making like work and me like it's a little bit enmeshed, so that this
hmm
way it's around connection. It's like that's my whole gig is like I like connecting and building relationships with people from all facets of life,
And
whether
you're
I
very intentional about it too.
I am. I'm extremely intentional about it. I mean, I remember how many times people really thought that I was like this phony human being. And I
Mm,
really, that was a belief of mine for years. In fact, when I met my ex-wife, one of her dearest best friends, who became one of my closest, friends as well, and chosen family, she passed away around 6 years ago from colon
mm,
cancer. But she was just this awesome mama. I mean, she was just a force to be reckoned in
mm,
business. But I remember when Carrie first told me, she's like, Charisse is like so protective of me and thinks and just can't believe that you've done all this stuff with your life. Because sometimes when people ask me about like my life when I worked in film or worked in the industry, and I mean
mm-hmm.
industry of like the entertainment industry, because
Yeah.
when you grow up, I went to acting school. I mean, I've said yes to things since I was 13.
You've
This
had a
is
very rich experience-filled life.
exactly, but to some people, it really comes off like but I literally don't tell anybody anymore. And when someone finds something out, they're like, whoa, tell me more about that. Because my whole belief was like, well, God, I don't want people to think that I'm fake or phony, right? Like, that's the last thing. But I remember when Charisse got to know me, and around 6 months later of us being exclusive and dating and all that, she came up to me at a gathering and was like, I just have to tell you, I was really wrong about you. And I realized like
Mm,
this is really who you are. And I was like, I mean, I almost cried, right? Like,
yeah.
but I just had told her, I said, look, you're not the first person who said that to me. And so I really tried from then on to really create and build intentional friendships and connections from work. And most people knew that if they came into my trade show booth that they were going to get hugged. Like I'm
Mm-hmm.
hugging them whether they buy from me or not. They're getting a hug
Mm,
because
mm-hmm.
that just fills everybody's cup. They don't know it at the moment, but when you get a good meaningful hug in a place where you're not used to, like in a work trade show, environment, it kind of just sets the tone, and then your whole aisle, like it's a domino effect. Everyone just
Yeah.
leaves happier.
Mm-hmm. Yes. It's so interesting you say all of that because I was just thinking about how when I took a big break from my photography business, one of the struggles I was having was that half of the people coming to me for photography were just expecting a business transaction. And it's really hard for me to just be a business transaction
Yeah.
as a creative. And as
Yeah.
someone who is very like heart-led and as someone who is very, very tuned into how other people are feeling and their energy, it's really hard for me not to turn a photography session into a therapy session.
Yeah. No, I mean, but I think that's why the people who get pictures by you. I mean, even one of our previous guests, Sarah,
Yeah.
said how intentional you were and how connective that shoot felt. It was different. It was a different
Yeah.
feeling from others. And
Yeah.
and I thought that was like the best
That
compliment
was
for you.
very, very affirming because I took a break from photography, and one of the reasons why was because I felt so frustrated.
Mm-hmm.
So frustrated by wanting to have this deep connection with everybody I worked with and having
Yeah.
this intentional connection with everybody I worked with and then having people who wanted it to just be a business transaction. And it
Mhm.
made me feel like they didn't like me. And so suddenly my
Oh,
whole
yeah.
identity was wrapped up in my photography and like creating. And now since then I've come to discover that I'm able to just work in the capacity of a business transaction. I can do that. And it is not personal. It's just people loving my work and wanting my work and that's it. They're not wanting something deeper, something more. Whereas a lot of the women I work with, they come to me because they're reading my social media posts. I had 3 clients today that I did photo sessions with. Every single one of them mentioned to me as we were chatting, I love what you share on Instagram. I'm here because of what you share and I like
Mm-hmm.
who you are. Like I'm not just here for your work, I'm here for you.
Yeah.
And and that is so affirming. And so I like that about you. I've always loved that about you too, is that you're so intentional and like you make an impact on everyone that you come in contact with.
I appreciate that. I mean, it was a really cool moment at the show in Atlanta last week. I was having breakfast downstairs and I'm the one who replaced him for my position with my new company.
Mm.
But it's because he was moving on to like a real to create a big I want to say he's definitely like building out one of the largest gift groups and it's
Mm.
mostly toy related in the industry. And it's cool because he's sort of, yeah, he's just like breaking rules all over the place, right? And he looked over at me at breakfast and he's like, "Hey, by the way, I'm gonna buy your breakfast tonight." I'm like, "You don't,
Mm.
you know I'm on company." He's like, "Yeah, don't worry, but I'm gonna treat you." And he said, "Hey, before I leave, because we had a really nice, just got to chat and catch up." And
Yeah.
he's like, "How are you enjoying it?" I'm like, "I love it." And he's like, "Just so you know, I may not say or I may not respond to your LinkedIn posts, but just know that I'm watching and I really appreciate your intentionality and I feel your authenticity coming through. So I just want
Yeah.
to tell you, you're doing a really good job, and I
That's
really
so
appreciate
affirming.
it was, and
So
I really
affirming.
respect him in the industry. I mean,
Yeah.
he's definitely a cool guy. But I think coming from a man, not that I need that, like it's just as meaningful coming from a female in a strong position or somebody that I respect and value. And
Hmm.
I do get a lot of that from females, like from women. But having that from a male who I'm kind of like the new him, in this position. Like everyone who doesn't know me was like, "Oh, you're the new Ron. Oh, okay, yeah, that's cool." And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm the new Ron, basically." So Ron always thought that was funny, but yeah, he just gave me such a lovely compliment, and
Mm.
that I felt very seen and very validated in that way because I do when I post, I really am very intentional wherever, whatever energy and whatever energy I'm putting out, I really try to make sure that it is holistically heard and felt the way that I'm, intending it for it to be.
So we have say yes,
Say yes,
be intentional,
be intentional and authentic.
and authentic. What other life lessons would you pass along to someone
Oh, I think
if you had to do it in that list, like, making a list, like a short little list of like these are the things in my
yeah,
life that I've
I would
really.
Yeah, I would say be heart forward.
Mm.
I mean, that's part of the authenticity and the intentionality, but really being heart forward for me is through being a daughter and how I
Mhm.
am with my parents. And when my grandparents were alive and with my brothers. Being heart forward with everybody. It's okay
Mm.
to walk heart forward. I know that I lead with my heart, and I think a lot of people lead so much with their mind
Yeah.
that you miss things when you're coming at it from a logical side. And
Hmm.
I think you can gain so much more when you're coming from love, coming from heart focused space. Because not everybody earns the love part of yourself. Like I think there's ways that you can be heart focused, heart centered, heart forward, um, and it has nothing to do with love. It just means that you're a human walking this earth and you see the other person as a human walking this earth. And I
Yeah.
think being able to be empathetic towards them, I think that's really important.
I think that's a very Buddhist mindset,
Yeah,
you know. Yeah.
it is.
Very, very much of like honoring that each person is worthy of love and respect.
Every life is as important as the next life.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
really, it is. And there's a lot of things that I learned from my grandparents, and I don't know if I mean, I think there is a Jewish part of it all, like growing up, with a very close Jewish family. And there are things that my grandfather taught all of the kids, like shaking hands and looking at people's eyes. I think so. It's like we have, say the list again. It was
Say
say
yes,
yes,
be intentional and
up,
authentic, heart forward.
heart forward, and also knowing your strengths.
Mm,
Like understand, like you can read strength finders and find out some of your hidden talents that might really resonate after reading, because you take a quiz, and it's a
mhm.
really cool book called Strength Finders. And there's a lot of personality quizzes out there, but I really appreciate Strength Finders. And you can buy it for your organization. You can buy, because each book comes with a special code to take a quiz. And then it spits out for you. Basically, your quiz is telling you five central parts of, your strengths. And I think, and Marcus Buckingham talked a lot about that. Have you heard of this before?
No, but I was like, Chat GTP.
I know, no, totally. Yeah, yeah, I know. I mean,
Hey, Chat
and I don't
GPT,
know,
what are
I
my
don't know if
strengths?
it'll, yeah, I mean, I'm curious. Like like go for it, because you pull up stuff on ChatGPT to
Not
see.
to take away from the strengths, which is a wonderful thing. Just I like asking Chat GTP everything these days just to see, like I'm training my Chat GTP right now to like really get to know me so it can really help me with like my schedule making and my content creating and all of that.
Totally,
So I was like, just
totally.
more questions to ask Chat GTP.
Yeah. But I love the strength finders, because I think when you're able to say yes in your life, understanding yourself, it kind of comes back to knowing yourself, right?
Yeah.
And feeling confident. And I will say I've learned a lot this last year with people who have come into my life, and realizing that I am really grateful to my grandparents and really grateful to my parents, even though they got divorced and had a horrible divorce. Like it doesn't matter. It's what they instilled in like all of us. Like if you sat down with all of my cousins and my
Mhm.
brothers and my siblings, you would see a very similar sensibility around confidence, knowing ourselves, knowing our strengths. Um, and I think that really had a lot to do with the fact that we spent a lot of time with our grandparents growing up, and them coming from a place of God, the World War II and the
Yeah.
Depression. I
Yep.
think they instilled in us, like, don't take this fucking life for granted.
Yeah.
And I think that's where a lot of who I am stems from.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. It's as you're saying, I was like, it sounds like a lot of secure attachment over there. Like a secure family attachment.
Oh, I 100%. I will tell you that, like at Passover for years, like my dad, my aunt and uncle, who are luckily, knock on wood, still alive, living their best life in Palm Desert. And I mean, we used to go to a country club because we outgrew any of the
Mm,
homes. Even though my
hmm.
Auntie Jan had like a big home, no one liked being in separate little areas. Like there wasn't a kid table, there was just tables, but we ended up moving it to like a country club
So
so
there
that
was space.
so we could all be at one table. There was
Hmm.
42. And it was my dad's cousins, so it was that side of the family and the Flamer side of the family, and you would think that majority, like all of the first cousins, which are my first cousins and my brother's first cousins, and then their kids who are the second cousins, right?
Hmm.
You would think we were all siblings. I mean, because of
Mm,
how close we were just, I mean, we spent so much time together. It was just amazing.
I
So
love
I
that.
think it just really, it really, like, none of us were spoiled. None of us, like, we had to share with everybody. We were all together, and, everyone did pretty well, but you would just, we just really liked being with each other. Like, we thought we were
Mm.
all hilarious. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I I think that's missing in a lot of families now.
Hmm.
And I'm really glad you had that experience growing up.
Yeah, me too. I feel very lucky for that. So I think part of that is like I love giving back to people and kind of even if it's 10 minutes at a trade show, like if I can give that to somebody that care and just them feeling heard for a minute, even if it's just them telling me about their what's happening at their store or what's happening in their life. Because I see my old retailers that I used to sell to, and they'll
Hmm.
come up to me and be like, "Oh my God, show me a picture of Kaden now." Like we haven't seen each other in 4 years, or you just bump into people and you just realize that it is a ripple effect. So I think the last thing I think I want to instill, and it's really one of the first things I wake up with every day, is just be kind.
Yeah.
Just be kind to people. Just be kind. You don't know
Just
what you don't know
yes.
the fight that someone had 4 minutes before you
Yes.
met them. You don't
Yeah.
know what you're walking into.
Yeah, exactly. You have no idea what people are dealing with in their lives. Just kindness can go such a long ways.
It
It
really can.
really, really, really can. Yesterday I had I had another parent from my child's school call me. She actually posted on social media on our local moms group looking to find the mother of my daughter. She was like looking for Ivy's mom. And we messaged and she's like, "Can I call you?" And turns out an incident happened at school with my daughter and her son. And I wasn't aware of this incident because the school didn't call me and tell me about it. I haven't seen my child since Thursday evening, so I didn't know that this had happened. Um, and her son got suspended from school because of this. Ivy didn't get in trouble or anything like that. It was kind of like a behavior where he was kind of aggressive towards her. They suspended him for it. And she called me because she wanted to apologize for her son's behavior. And as we started talking, I think she expected me to be upset.
Yeah.
And I just said to her, I was like, I really appreciate you calling me and telling me, um, you know, it's not a big deal. It's really not. I think the fact that my daughter didn't tell me about it means that she's not worried about it. And in her mind, it's probably like taken care of, done, whatever. And as
Oh,
this mom and I kept talking, come to find out her child's also neurodivergent and is struggling at school, and she didn't know how to like get him supports. And so we had this whole conversation
oh,
that
what
has
a
now
gem.
rippled into me connecting one of my other friends who works with the school with this mom so she can start getting some supports for her son. And she was just like, "Thank you so much for like being so kind and gracious about this." And I was like, "Well, you deserve to have support." Like, like what, how
Totally.
does it help for you to call me and tell me about this and then for me to berate you, to be angry at you, to be a jerk to you? Like, what would that do
Yeah.
for either of us? So
Yeah.
I shared that because I really think that, to speak to your point,
Kindness.
kindness can change the world. It truly can.
It really can. I mean, yeah. I mean, especially now.
Oh
Boy,
my
do we need a lot of kindness.
God.
It is testing me daily.
I, yes, digging deep right now in the kindness
So
department.
my friend Melanie from Toronto, she's
Hmm.
like, dude, we are about to go through the same kind of election up here. And
Oh,
they're scared now too. But she was like, if you need asylum, you come up. I'll pick you up at the border. And I mean, having friends like that, and she's like, all three of you, and the dog, of course, and Cooper, but she's like, you, Carrie, and Caden, I'll meet you at the border. I said, don't worry, if shit really hits the fan, then I'm a driving. Actually,
it's
Carrie will drive.
crazy.
She's a way faster driver. I'll be
It's
behind
just
her, like I'll be like one state behind her.
it's just crazy what's happening right now. I mean, I have photography clients, a lesbian couple that took their daughters and they moved to Europe this last year because they were worried about what was coming.
Yeah.
And or just even today, I saw on social media one of my transgender friends posted that they had just finally received their passport renewal and they got it renewed specifically with the thought of, do what happens if I need to leave the country? Should I leave the country? I need to have everything in place for me to leave the country if I need to.
Yeah, I
And
was
that just it breaks my heart. It breaks my heart.
Yeah,
that
and
we're in
I'll
this
and I'll
position.
and I'll put links to a few of these things, but like I'm on the GLAD gay lesbian, association
Hmm.
GLAD, yeah, so nonprofit. And I've been getting their emails lately. They've been really kicking up again. So I'm gonna try to look and see what's local here because tomorrow
Hmm.
we have our late and lifers, the AZ Lilies. We're
Yeah.
having our annual friend anniversary tomorrow
Mm.
at the only pretty much one of the only gay coffee shops here in Arizona in Phoenix. And so we'll all meet up tomorrow and I'm sure that we're going to discuss some of this stuff because we like to
Yeah.
figure out. And then also equality, humanrights.org is another organization that people should at least get on the mailing list for if they have
Hmm.
gay, trans, queer family, friends, and coworkers, whatever, that it's a good way for anybody who is heteronormative, straight, who identifies as straight can like lean into what might be helpful and useful at
Yeah.
the moment, whether it's a $20 donation or showing up at an event or hosting an
Yes.
event or some sort.
Right.
So I've been leaning more back into those classic realms of like, because I'm not on social media.
Yeah.
And holy moly, this week, not being on social just for the first week, what a game changer again. I don't remember enjoying it this much.
Yeah.
It
It's
has been,
so good. So good.
I really needed it. So going back to like getting on mailing lists and like getting information through the actual news, like reading Apple
Mhm.
News or reading the New York Times. So yeah, I've been doing a lot more of that. And so it's just an interesting time and I'm really am just leaning into my friends and leaning into family and it's nice to not be getting bombarded with things that I'm not looking for in the first place.
Yes, I've had to. I'm not taking a social media break at all, but I do. I have since I took my month-long social media break at the end of 2023, beginning of
Yeah.
2024. I have very much limited my social media use. I don't doom scroll. I'm not on it as much. I'm very intentional about how I use it, and it's made a big difference.
Is it weird like not getting a shit ton of memes from me every day? Did you even notice? Or like maybe it just was so unconscious, which is probably an issue. Like we laugh at stuff, but I mean, you and I send mostly funny stuff
Mostly funny stuff,
and
yeah.
spiritual stuff, of course.
And well, the thing is, I'm not really on there that much, so it's like we still talk.
Right. You and I still send each other things,
Yeah,
and
so
talk. You're
it's
right.
not like I'm not like sitting here going, ah, Michelle hasn't sent me any
Right.
memes
So
today.
Michelle had 2 days and it was 2 days in and she goes, I'm kind of struggling where to send these things to now.
Just
I'm all,
text
you can send them to
it.
River,
Yeah,
anybody
send
else.
them to
But
me.
yeah, I'm like, you can send them
Funny.
to her. She has the same, I said, she has the same sense of humor as we do. Like she can get
Yes.
raunchy. Like there's certain things that I send you that I don't send a lot, like funny sexual shit. Like, like
I have the humor of like a 15-year-old
I
boy.
know. And it's so fun when I'm feeling in that mood. Maybe I've had a gummy or something, but it's like, oh yeah, this is funny as hell. River's gonna find this just as funny. But yeah,
Okay, so I just have to share it because so at preschool this week, this is
yeah.
how my humor works for
I
anybody who's
love your
listening.
preschool. I love the preschool stories.
At preschool this week, we did this
Yeah.
one art project where we used this glitter glue, and it was really thick glitter glue.
Oh
And the
God, I know
kids
where
were
you're
like,
going.
drawing on. We're making like a big snake, like a collaborative like 3D
Oh
snake
no. Yep.
for the Chinese New Year. And one of my
It's
one
supposed
of
to
my
be a
preschool
dragon. Oh no, is it the year of the
it's the year of the
snake?
snake. It's the year of the
Okay,
snake.
okay, that makes sense.
And one of my preschool boys like was drawing like using like this glue to put stuff onto his collage piece and he handed it to me and he said he was done. And as I'm looking at it, I looked down, I realized that like he had basically shaped out of this glitter glue the shape of a penis, and then he put a pom pom on the very top, so it looked like
Wait, why didn't I not get a picture of this?
I took a picture, I'll send it to you. But I started laughing, and then I like held it out to the other teacher, and I was like, "Do you see what I see?" And she just didn't get it, and I was like, okay, it's
You're
only
all,
me then. And I was like, "This is a me thing. This is a my 15-year-old boy mind." I'm like
I
looking at,
freaking love that.
oh my gosh,
Oh my God.
so funny.
You told a really another funny story. I think it was like 2 weeks ago. Oh man, you have some good stories from that time.
Oh, the preschoolers are hilarious. They
And
are
just how they talk
so
about
funny.
their like when they have to go pee and oh man.
Oh,
I mean,
oh
that
my
age
gosh.
is just so priceless.
Like I could start my own Instagram page just like doing
What
preschool humor.
what funny kids, what yeah, what preschoolers say. You know how there's those pages that say, I wish there was a page for all of SNL's funny stuff. Like I wish there was a page for what preschoolers say. And I think other
There
teachers,
are pages like that.
oh,
There's one I follow that is like kindergarten themed where it's a kindergarten teacher and he's like kindergartners during circle time and like it's so funny. I laugh
oh my God,
so
I love
hard.
it.
Yes, but my preschoolers are funny.
Well, I'm so glad that we got to do this today. Just
Me
laughing
too.
with you is the best.
I love you and happy birthday.
Thank you, my sweet friend. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate that. And I am so grateful for all the people who reached out, who took time today to tell me that they were thinking about me. I don't take it lightly at all.
Yeah, we
And
appreciate you.
I know, and I appreciate everybody. So I appreciate you. So love you, sweet friend.
Love you too. Mwah.
And oh, next week, New York, baby. We're
Yes.
gonna record.
Yes. Can't wait for that.
I know, it'll be fun.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
If you enjoyed this episode today, be sure to subscribe and share because what do we say, baby?
Sharing is caring.